Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Rogue Agent Answers. My name is the Rogue Agent. Some people call me David Lewis, and every week I answer one of the many life insurance related questions that I've received from clients, from email subscribers on the daily email list, questions floated to me from across the interwebs, in the comments sections, which I know you're not supposed to read, or just interactions that I've had with people in real life over the past 20 years, which is a long time. And some of these questions I just scribbled down on scrap pieces of paper. Some of these are stuff I've written down on my phone. Some of it is on Post-it notes scattered all over the office. And every week I answer one of those questions. So if you'd like to ask your question, drop them in the comments section or join my email list for more life insurance tips and advice at monogenics.com. monegenics.com. And now for this week's question. What is the 7-pay premium? How does that work? Well, there are some very complex rules regarding this 7-pay test for cash value life insurance policies. So it's not something that's easy to explain. Actually, it's not easy to explain verbally. It's also it's not easy to explain even if I were to kind of draw it out. The 7-pay test refers to the maximum amount of premium that you can pay within the first 7 years of your policy without turning your policy into a modified endowment contract. We call them MECs in the business. And I've noticed a lot of policyholders, they'll say, hey, I want to fund my premium. I don't want to be a MEC. That's what that is. You have to pay attention to that 7-pay test. So policies that become a MEC are treated more like investments. They get reclassified by the IRS. They basically will treat them, more like qualified plans or maybe like an annuity for tax purposes if you try to take cash out of them. Which I always found ironic, given that the government, state governments especially, they want agents and policyholders to avoid calling life insurance an investment. But anyway, so if the policy does get reclassified, then they're going to be taxed like retirement plans. You're going to get early withdrawal penalties and stuff like that. And you lose some of the tax exempt status. And the death benefits are still going to be generally tax free. But getting at the cash value is going to be a little harder. So here's the relevant bit from the life insurance illustration that you're going to want to pay attention to. So this is from a sample policy illustration. The person who asked this question, this was from their policy. There's no personally identifying information in here. This is just, I removed all that stuff, but this is what their policy says. And this is what most policies will say, this or something very similar to this. Okay, so here's the relevant part. Quote, in order to receive favorable tax treatment of distributions such as policy loans or PUA dividend surrenders, a life insurance policy must satisfy the 7-pay premium test. Life insurance policy premiums must be within certain limits during the first 7 years of the policy and for the first 7 years after certain policy changes or conditions occur. A policy that does not meet the qualifications of this test is referred to as a modified endowment contract, MEC. Your current 7-pay premium is $13,229.70. The 7-pay premium used in this test may be adjusted under certain circumstances over the lifetime of the policy. If your policy is a MEC, the tax treatment of any death benefit provided under the contract will still qualify for income tax-free treatment. You may be subject to additional taxes and penalties on any distributions from your policy during the life of the insured, and policy distributions, including loans to capitalize loan interest, will be taxed on a gain first basis. And any that's taken prior to age 59 and 1/2 may be assessed a 10% penalty. So that's what the 7-pay test is in the short version. There is a calculation that goes along with that. I'm not going to go into that because even if I did, it's going to be very confusing for people because it every time there's a material change, including like with a lot of these policies where people like to have paid up additions riders, every time you're buying additional paid up life insurance, it's going to slightly change the amount of money that you can put into your policy to avoid MEC status. So it's not a static thing. It's something that's more dynamic. Now, if you don't have any material changes, it is more or less a static thing. But if you have like PUA riders or anything that changes the contract, the death benefit, then that they do a recalculation every time that happens to see if you have any TAMRA violations. Anyway, so I hope that answers your question. Again, it's a great question, and I'll be back at you next week with another one. Thanks.
Okay, that's it for this week's question. If you'd like to add your question to the list, just drop them in the comment section or send me an email. And if you want more life insurance tips and advice, just head on over to monogenics.com, MONEGENIX.com, and sign up for my daily email list.